jail. Like, damn. When I think of boarding school in Zim, I ask myself, how did I survive those 2 years? And I get so angry at myself. And then in South Africa it's different. You're allowed to have your phone, of course. On weekends, during the week we're not allowed to have phones, but weekend you can get your phone from the metron, have your phone. You can have a water heater, although the water was hot. If you want to have a kettle, you can have a kettle. What is good, T gang? It is your girl T. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, then smash the subscribe button down below. Turn on your post notifications to get notified every time I post a video, baby. Today I'm back with another Zimbabwe versus South Africa video. Today I'm going to be comparing Zimbabwean schools versus South African schools. So let's hear what happens in Zimbabwean schools and what happens in South African schools, since I have experience in both Zimbabwean and South African schools, in both primary and secondary level. So let's get on to the video. I hope you stay tuned, guys. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers, so hit the subscribe button down below. Number one difference in South African and Zimbabwean schools is when it comes to in high school. So what happens in high school in Zimbabwe is that when you're in grade 9, you have to work extremely hard. You have to work so hard because your marks are going to determine whether you're going to study sciences, whether you're going to study commercials, or you're going to study arts. Because unlike in South Africa, where they allow you to choose whatever you want, whatever field you want, whether you want to study science, whether you want to study arts, whether you want to study commercials, in Zimbabwe they don't give you that freedom to choose for yourself. Your marks are going to determine whether you are a science student, whether you're a commercial student. So if your marks are so low in grade 9, in Zim you do not proceed to the science field, because they know that you will not be able to cope in the science field. Let's say you have level 2s and level 2 in mathematics, but you want to study science. In Zimbabwe they don't let you do that because they know you're not going to be able to make it. I don't know if it's actually a good practice or it's a bad practice, or should they allow people to actually study whatever they want and fail after trying. I don't know. Or it is actually a good practice, you know, to save you your time because they know you're not going to be able to do it. I don't know, but all I know is that in South Africa they give you the freedom to branch into the field that you want to, unlike in Zim they don't allow you to. Number two is that in Zim we do not do grades. In South Africa it's grade 1 up to grade 12. So grade 8 it's grade 1 to 7 is primary school, grade 8 to 12 it is high school. But in Zim we do not do that. In Zim it's grade 1 to 7 it is primary school, and then in high school you no longer have grades end in primary school. In high school you now have form, so it's form 1 to form 6 in Zimbabwe. Another difference is that in South Africa we have private schools, and these private schools also the middle class can afford to go to private school, unlike in Zim. In Zim it's either you are rich or you're not, and if you're not rich you cannot afford to go to a private school. Private schools are for rich people in Zim. It's either you're rich or you're not, period. You do not go to a private school if you're a middle class type of person. You do not. They don't accommodate that. Private schools strictly for rich people. In South Africa, whether you're middle class, you can actually afford to go to a private school. Of course there are different kinds of private schools. Some are cheaper than the others. There are private schools for rich people. There are also private schools for middle class people, where it accommodates the middle class and I mean the people who are doing very well in life. So it's actually a good thing because also the middle class can go to private schools. In Zim it's either you're rich or you're not, so you stay in your lane. Also another thing in Zim is that in government schools you actually pay the amount that people pay here in middle class private schools. So in Zimbabwe you're in a government school, but you're paying the amount that you would pay in South Africa in a private school of the middle class. So do you see the difference? You are in a government school, but you're paying a lot of money that you would pay when you're here in South Africa in a private school. So that is why most Zimbabweans, when they come to South Africa, they find it so easy to take their kids to private schools, even private schools that are actually better, because they used to pay that amount still in government schools. So it is actually a good thing when you come here, you can get your child into a private school. Another difference is that in South Africa, I realized that they call the head of the school, they call them principal, yeah, whatever. But in Zim, we call them headmaster or headmistress. If it's a woman, it's headmistress. So we took that from we were colonized by the British, of course, so we did take that headmistress or headmaster. But in South Africa, they say principal. They don't say, they do say in other schools headmistress, headmaster, but the common term is the principal. And then let's go to the skirts. South African babies wear short skirts, y'all. The way they wear short skirts in school, I even feel, because I myself would feel uncomfortable sometimes in school looking at a girl wearing a very, very short skirt. You know, a skirt that is so short your bum is almost showing out. They would wear those skirts and no one would chase them away from school. Like, I would feel uncomfortable for them. That's how short they wear skirts in school. Whereas in Zim, we don't do that. If you would wear a short skirt, you're gonna feel out of place on your own. You're going to go and get the right size because you will feel out of place. I used to wear a skirt that was just above my knees, just a little above my knees, and those were considered the short skirts. We were considered to be the people who wear short skirts. But in SA, just above the knee was, you were considered to be having a very long skirt, because girls used to show their thighs in school, guys. Yo, I wonder how the guys used to cope, all the male teachers, because I myself would feel uncomfortable. Then in South Africa, beating a child or giving a child a hiding in school is not a common practice. Of course, it does happen in other schools, but it is not a common practice in general. Usually you get what they call detention. They give you a certain period of time where you're just sitting there alone reading a book, or there's a teacher looking at you. What are you doing? Are you reading your books? Are you doing your homework? So you usually get detention. We used to get detention in school, but in Zim, they don't play like that. Detention for what? For who? They would give you a hiding. They would give you a hiding. They don't have time for detention back at home. So here it's detention. You don't get a hiding, which I think is also cool, I guess. Another difference I realized in South Africa is that during examinations, yeah, in an examination hall, you can call a teacher for the specific subject that you're writing. You can call them and ask them to explain the question that you're writing. If you don't understand the question, they would come in and explain the question. I was like, sure. So what's the whole point of it being an examination if you're calling a teacher to come and explain the question? I'm not saying that there was a mistake in the question. There's no mistake. This person does not understand what the question is saying, and a teacher would come and explain that this person is saying this and this and this and that, and then you have to answer. But in Zim, we don't do that. We don't do it. It's an examination for a reason. Unless there's a mistake on the question, or you don't find an answer, maybe it's a multiple question and then you don't find the correct answer on that list of answers, you can call a teacher, of course, and tell them. But to call them and say, explain this question to me, like, really? Yo, I don't see that happening in Zim, but here it happens. I don't think it's a bad thing. By the way, I think it's, I don't know, fairly okay, I guess. In South Africa, I realized they give a lot of handouts, like printed material for you to paste in your books, some homework you paste in your books, handouts. I really, really loved that. They're giving us handouts. In Zim, it never happens. I remember I used to do history in Form 2. I was doing history. Guys, we would write notes until our hands were tired. You would write notes until you say, I no longer want to write notes. And the teacher is writing on the chalkboard. And if you're slow, they're going to rub those notes off and start writing new notes again. Yo, guys, I think you'd write even 5-6 pages in one lesson. They'd never give out handouts. So I think if they used to give us handouts, it would actually be better. They print out and they give to us like they do in South Africa. If it's too much, they give you handouts. In Zim, they never give you handouts. They write on the chalkboard, you write notes in your book, and then that's how it's done. And in Zim, they usually just have chalkboards. This thing of marker boards is not so common like it is so common in South Africa. In private schools, mostly they don't use chalkboards, they use marker boards. So in South Africa, in the hostel, if you are in a boarding school, I used to go to a boarding school in SA. Also, when I was in Zim, I was going to a boarding school. So what I realized in boarding school in Zim is that it is so strict and restrictive of whatever you do, and I did not like that. I did not like that. I actually prefer boarding school in South Africa than in Zim, because in Zim we're not allowed to bring cereal. We're not allowed to bring water heaters to heat your water, but there was no hot water in the bathroom. In winter, we used to bath with cold water, and you're not allowed to bring your water heater. You're not allowed to bring tin food. You're not allowed to bring your phone. Mind you, you'll be in the bundles in a boarding school for 3 months without a phone. And they don't allow a lot of things in the hostel. When you go to the dining hall, you're not allowed to bring out your food and go with it to your room, even if you're not feeling well and you want to eat it later. It's not allowed. It was just jail. Like, damn. When I think of boarding school in Zim, I ask myself, how did I survive those 2 years? And I get so angry at myself. And then in South Africa it's different. You're allowed to have your phone, of course, on weekends. During the week we're not allowed to have phones, but weekend you can get your phone from the metron, have your phone. You can have a water heater, although the water was hot. If you want to have a kettle, you can have a kettle. All these appliances were not allowed in boarding school in Zim. In South Africa it's allowed. If you are not feeling well, you want to take your food out of the dining hall and eat in your room, it was allowed. You know, it was just, they were not making life difficult for us. They had rules, but they were making life easy for us at the same time. You get me? Another thing is, in South Africa, that I realized, they do not take leaders seriously in school. I mean, prefects. We used to call them prefects in Zim. I was a prefect in when I was in Zim. I was a prefect when I came here. It's so difficult when you come here, and people, they don't take prefects seriously. Like, it's just, okay, you're a leader, so what? You tell me what to do, so what? Or else in Zim, if you see a prefect, a leader, it's a resemblance of a teacher. Whatever they tell you to do, you do, because you're seeing a teacher in them. That's how respected prefects were, and they carried this weight that I am a prefect. You'd feel that I'm a prefect, I'm a leader. In South Africa, I never used to feel it. I'm a leader. I didn't feel it. I was a leader, but I did not feel it. Another thing I don't condone or support in South African kids' behavior. Mostly talking back to teachers, they do talk back. I don't think I can ever be an educator in South Africa. I can't. I don't have the patience. I don't have the temper. I would lose it. I would be one of those teachers they send to jail because they hate a kid. And when I say hit a kid, I don't mean taking a stick and hitting them. I mean fist fighting a kid. I don't have the temper. I don't have the cool. I don't have it to be disrespected in front of other kids. I mean, you're the disrespect. They don't talk back. I mean, I understand talking back to someone while you're arguing and giving reasonable arguments, but they don't do that. They disrespect in front of the whole class. You're out. I would lose it. Like, I would lose it. I can't. Guys, and then the last difference I realized is in primary school in South Africa, kids are already using a calculator. What are you using a calculator for? What are you doing with a calculator? I want to know. In Zim, we used to, every morning, I remember I was in grade 5. Every morning you stand up, the math period, you stand up, your teacher comes in. You know, during the math period every morning, the teacher's gonna come in and ask you the times table. So you stand up, and everyone in class, you stand against the wall, straight line. He picks whoever he wants. A random times table, you can say 7 times 6. You have to say fast. 42, quickly. Or is it 42? I don't even remember. 9 times 9, you have to say fast. 81. Very fast. If you don't say it, you're gonna get a hiding. So for every times table you get wrong, you get a hiding for that. So in primary school, we used to know our times table from 1 to 12. Yeah, 1 to 12 times tables. We used to know them by head. We're not allowed to use calculators. We didn't see the reason to use calculators in primary school. We were sharp. So yes, we've come towards the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, leave your comments down below, subscribe and take me to 1000 subscribers, and turn on your post notifications to get notified every time I post a video. I will see you in my next video. Leave your suggestions in the comment section down below. I love you guys.